Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And I am a New York Giants fan. And to say this season has been a major disappointment is a major understatement. 3-8, two of those wins coming against the Washington Commanders. Another season where they don't make the playoffs after last season where they won a playoff game. Now, heading into the season, I didn't necessarily believe they would build off that positive momentum. I said either 7-10 or 8-9. I did my playoff predictions. I did not include the Giants in the playoffs, but I definitely expected a more interesting season than the one we have seen. Well, the Athletic, I believe on Monday, posted a New York Giants fan survey. They have two beat writers, which is awesome because a lot of teams don't even have any as they cut down the people working for them. But anyhow, nearly 3,000 people responded, so this isn't necessarily a small sample size. They asked a variety of questions, but I'm mainly going to highlight the questions where they asked if certain people should stay or should they go, should they stay, should they go. I don't know. I think that was a Maya song back in the day. But anyhow, let's take a look. Let's start with the head coach and the GM. Should they return in 2024? And you see an overwhelming amount of people agree that both should return. Head coach Brian Daboll, 96.2% say he should, 3.4% say no. Joe Schoen, the GM, 95.3% say yes, 4.7% say no. Now, fans may be sick of the continuous changing of head coaches, as each of the last three lasted no more than 2 seasons, those being Bob McAdoo, Pat Shermer, and Joe Judge. Meanwhile, Joe Schoen, compared to the last GM, David Gettleman, really almost anyone could do better than him. Joe Schoen has had some hits, but he's also had some misses thus far. Evan Neal looks like a bust through his first 2 seasons, taking him with an early draft pick. Mark Lewinsky, not a good free agent signing. Of course, Daniel Jones, that long-term deal, looking like um, I don't want to say a disaster, but kind of after 1 season. So he's had his fair share of misses, but you need some continuity if you want to have success. So Giants fans believe these two should stay. Now, how about two of their key players? Starting with Vanilla Vic, Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. So the question wasn't necessarily, let me see where the question is. So the question was actually stated as, let's see, do the Giants need to move on from Daniel Jones? So 76.8% said yes, he's not a franchise caliber quarterback and can't stay healthy. 23.2% said no, he deserves another chance to show what he can do. Now, I don't think they could just move on from him because of his contract. It would have to be at the end of next season where they could move on from him. But they could definitely draft a quarterback and have him just as a super high paid backup. I think that would be most likely. Even after last season, I wasn't fully a Daniel Jones believer. I never was up until last season. Then, I had hope. Yes, he only had 15 passing touchdowns, but they didn't necessarily have the greatest cavalry of weapons on the offensive side. But this season was a disaster for him. The O line was terrible, and he really didn't do enough to have me feeling confident with him as the starter next season. Saquon Barkley. So they put the yes in two different columns. So yes, make him a Giant for life, 45.3%. Yes, but only on another 1-year deal, which would be a franchise tag, 33.8%. That would be about 12.1 million, and only about 1/5 the people know this team doesn't need to spend significant money on a running back, 20.8%. So More than three-quarters of the fans want to see Saquon Barkley back with the New York Giants, and nearly half want to see him sign a long-term deal. We know how hard it has been for running backs to get that long-term deal. Josh Jacobs franchise tag, Tony Pollard franchise tag, Saquon Barkley franchise tag. Eckler couldn't get an extension. Jonathan Taylor finally was a running back who was able to get a multi-year deal. Will the Giants do that for Barkley? He's had very few. He's really only had one fully healthy season, but easily far and beyond the Giants' best offensive weapon. And he's still producing, even though the Giants currently have a third string quarterback in, and defenses are completely game planning for him. So those are four key guys on the Giants. And if the fans, according to this survey, believe they would, do they want them back for next season? A couple other questions I asked. How many more games will the Giants win this season? 43% said two. One of their most winnable games will be this Sunday against the New England Patriots. 38.7 said one. Be honest, before the season, how many games did you expect the Giants to win? 71% said 8 to 10. 26.3% said 5 to 7. I was in between. I said 7 and 10 or 8 and 9. Who deserves the most blame for the Giants' collapse? Offensive line, heavy winners at 62.9%. Second, quarterback 11.7%. Front office 11%. Which Giants player has been the source of the most frustration for you this year? Evan Neal got the majority of the votes easily, 59.4%. Also called out the fans. That definitely probably had more fans voting for him than even Wood, although he has been a struggle. People are hoping for that Andrew Thomas like second year jump. Hasn't happened. Daniel Jones also received 31.5% of the votes. Let's see. If Daboll and Schoen return, what's your level of confidence they could turn things around? Scale 5 being the highest level of confidence. 48.8% said 4, 32.3% said 3. So they're either on the fence or have a decent amount of confidence they could turn it around. And let's see, what's the Giants' biggest need outside of quarterback? Offensive line, 82.6%. Duh. Although I do think they need that number one receiver. If the Giants secure the number one pick, whom should they pick? Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to get it, especially with their win against the Commanders. But Caleb Williams, 43.6%. Drake May, 26.6%. Trade back, 13.9%. Marvin Harrison Jr., 9.2%. And that was all the questions that were asked in this survey. Giants fan, non-Giants fan, just a huge NFL fan. What do you guys think? Should Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen definitely return next season? Should the Giants give Daniel Jones one more opportunity to show that he can be their franchise quarterback? And what to do with Saquon Barkley? Let him leave, franchise tag him again, or sign him to a long-term deal. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm